Hey everyone, how you doing today? I thought I'd show you what I've been working on the last couple of days. To start with, kind of a starter base, a really cheap starter base. This is for XCaliber's challenge. The challenge was about, say you're playing the game and you get lose your CV and all your stuff, and you pretty much have to restart. Um, and that's kind of what this is. Something that you can maybe keep in your factory, ready to spawn in case you run into an emergency. It's a very cheap starter base. Built of concrete primarily. It's got a few steel blocks in it, maybe about 10, but the rest of it's concrete. It does have 3 turrets on top, which is as much as I could put on it, being a tier 1 that it is. Original design had 4 turrets here. You can almost see kind of how they would have lined up, but that was too much CPU for it. So I could not put 4 turrets on here. So walking inside, um, again, it's concrete, so the texturing I can't really match very well compared to the rest of the Imperial stuff I've been doing. I don't have a base texture or anything I can use, and a lot of the textures that I was using aren't available in concrete. Um, but feature-wise, inside it comes with a large constructor, 320K storage. Has this whole area here set up for a medical facility and all the medical equipment, and I'll show you. I've got all that displayed on the next one over there. And it does have a toilet and a shower. O2, of course, a little area to sit in, a couple beds, ammo box, armor locker. Then it's got a fridge, food processor. You replace these blocks here. You can add in grow plots, and then you have your grow lights installed over here. Also, it's got 8 smaller solar panels on here. Below this door here is where the main parts are. So down in here, you've got your main core, a small generator, a solar capacitor, and Wi-Fi. Spec-wise, this is coming out to build time of 39 minutes and 15 seconds. It requires no rares at all. So just stone and crushed stone and copper, silicon, iron, carbon substrate, and wood planks. There's no actual carbon substrate blocks on here, so it must use that to build all the other blocks. Even this, like some of this little interior trim stuff is done of wood, of all things. So that's pretty much it. CPU wise on it as well, it's 64,000 CPU out of 80,000 on tier 1. So the one next to it over here is basically just got different equipment in it. So this one has an advanced constructor, and then it has all the medical parts kind of displayed around here. So you got all of those plus your med bay and the ATM, stuff like that. So not much difference, but why I left those out is because of the resources that they use. Because of those parts, it requires 86 cobalt, some titanium, and neodymium, where the other one doesn't. And then it adds about 10 minutes to the build time. So yeah, that's just a fun little thing. I'm going to try to tweak this out a little bit more. I might replace a few more concrete blocks with steel blocks, try to get the textures and details revved up a little bit more. But it's a pretty flimsy base. Obviously, no shield. It's just yeah, it's a cheap starter base, and that's pretty much it. So something else I've been kind of toying with is a new concept, Combat SV, and this is very early stages on it. And I'm not sure if I want to complete it or not. In some regards, I don't mind the look of it. I'm trying something a little bit different setup on this one. Kind of like a pudgy stealth fighter, but different. I just wanted to make something a little bit different. It flies pretty good, but the roll sucks on it. Basically, I've got all the thrusters placed, at least in their present places. Some things could move a little bit, but it's pretty wide. It's not super wide. I think this will still fit in a 5x9 hangar door just fine, I think. But it's just, I don't know. We'll have to see. Here, if I take it up for a flight, it's got, here, I'll get the HUD on too. So it could fly pretty good right now, but obviously it's not finished. It would be heavier than what it is now. It turns all right. The roll, I'm trying to do maximum roll here, and that's about as best as it can do. Now, I don't have any RCS in here, but I don't really want to try to put in RCS. I'd rather have better placed thrusters as opposed to using, even if it's just a little bit of CPU for RCS. I'd rather always have that CPU available for other things. And if I had more CPU available, I could add more guns to it and stuff too. So those are important things. But anyway, just a weird concept SV. I've done a lot of those kinds of things. Sometimes I'll complete them, other times I won't. But I was trying to make something for this faction that would be kind of on par with probably the toughest working SV I've got at the time, which is the Skaar SV. However, I didn't really want to have the cockpit like way in the back like I did this one. It's effective in game to do that. It keeps you pretty safe and everything like that. The problem I've got with that is I never like the looks of it. It takes a really weird design to try to make a cockpit on the back of a flying machine. It's weird. This one just kind of got away with it because it's kind of like a tank. So this one I wanted the cockpit up forward more, but you know, it's pretty tall, so so you'd have a lot of, especially if I filled this in nicely with some good blocks. You got a lot of defense from getting hit from this general area. If you're usually attacking a POI from the front, this would be a primary area that you'd probably get hit on, and I'm just trying to keep the cockpit up and out of that general hit zone. But yeah, again, it would be probably better placed if it was back here somewhere. But that would just, especially a design like this, really looks silly. So that's why I didn't do it. Now I was kind of looking at some older Skaar things that I never did either finish up or didn't release. And that would be like this, the Skaar DFA with, or Skaar Death from Above. If you haven't seen this before, I did show it at some points before, and I did use it in game briefly too, or an older version of it. But this one's designed to fly over a POI, and all these plasma turrets down the side have a line of fire, as well as a couple of these little pulse laser turrets, or whatever those are called. So you fly over your target, and you can hit it pretty good from above. So hence the name DFA. This one worked. I think it's been about complete for a while. It's a little bit more of an expensive build for a SV because of the weapons and things that are on it. It uses a decent amount of estrium and zirconium. It flies all right. I wish it was a little bit faster, but I think it was CPU locked on how it's set up, where I couldn't really do much. It's got a little bit of CPU left over, doesn't it? Huh. And this one did have a shield too. Now the inside is a mess, and that is just something I threw together here. It doesn't have an interior like most SVs that I make, and I've got hollow blocks and chaos inside right now. So I would, if I did release that, if anybody wants to see this release, I could probably get this out to the workshop here in the next week or so. But I would want to clean up the inside of it a little bit and do a little bit more stuff. See if I can get a little bit more thrust on there with the CPU, especially forward thrust. Forward thrust is the most important. I kept on armoring up because if you're flying away from missiles that are attacking you, they tend to like to hit you in the back here, like in this area and this area. I found that out with gameplay. So basically I was souping up a lot of these areas, trying to get them just tougher. But then in place it slowed it down, which I didn't want either. And that's why I ended up adding like some more thrusters over here and stuff like that from the original design. It's a little bit bulkier and bigger than the original one was. So another weird Skaar creation that I made a while back and never did finish is this kind of weird butterfly wing shaped thing. And I kind of like the looks of it, but I guess what stopped me from working on it is I just didn't think it would be a very effective ship to have for any particular reason. It's got some weapons on it. Not a lot, but the cockpit's up front, and that's dangerous. So stuff like that. It's I I didn't do the interior, but I mean it's got like all the base parts and everything laid out in here. I wonder how the CPU is still playing on this. And this was a lower tier creation as well, so the CPU is actually fairly low on it right now. But it also doesn't have any storage yet, so it needs storage and a controller. It doesn't have warp drive, and it doesn't have a shield either, and that's kind of a problem because I could fit the warp drive. I'm sorry, I could fit the shield, but the warp drive would be impossible to fit in a creation like this size. There's not enough room anywhere to do that with, so that's kind of a problem. A combat ship without a well. It's not required to have a shield, or I'm sorry, a warp drive on every combat CV or combat. Man, I can't talk today. Combat SV. And then I also did this one, and this one I was thinking would be more of a cargo type creation, kind of like some of the transits. But I kind of stopped working on this one a while back too because I guess in my point of view, I almost find it silly to have a cargo SV or HV because the CV stuff outclasses them by such an extreme amount that what's the point? You get so little storage in one of these in comparison to how easy it is to get storage on a CV, and you could build tiny little CVs that can hold a lot more than this could and move it, and probably end up in the end of the day being about the same price, if not even cheaper than what this is. So it's kind of kind of that weird thing. SVs are typically problematic a bit with a lot of function in game. You know, if you're doing a mining SV, that's cool. Those got a good use. Combat SVs for specific players, I think that works out pretty good. Oh, I forgot to mention too, this one also was reforged heated and did have a couple bomb launchers on it. So anyway, that's pretty much what I've been doing right now. What I'm really trying to do is think about like a next main project. Like, you know, I asked this question a few months ago too, and it was I think the majority of comments was to say to build a dreadnought, and that's when I did the supremacy. So I'm kind of at that point again where it's like, yeah, this little small stuff is cute and whatever, but it's really quick build time. SVs are typically fairly quick build time in comparison, but I was kind of like thinking about that main project again, like that, something that's bigger and more elaborate. If you got any ideas, anything you think I'm missing from workshop, or something that you think would be really useful in game at this point in time, let me know. I mean, some things that are on the table, I suppose, would be another space station, but yeah, I don't know if I want to do that or not. I recently did the big combat CV, so I don't really want to do another big combat CV. I did a starter CV. I don't really want to do another one of those. So I'm not sure what to do, actually, and that's, I mean, yeah, there's endless amounts of things you can build, but I trying to find something a bit unique. You know, it's like I don't really want to do another carrier or combat CV or starter CV. I've done the more kind of recent Solaris space station too. The space stations typically are quite a lot of work because, well, if you build a big one, that is. But yeah, so I don't know what to do. Really, I don't even know what's needed anymore in the game. There's a couple things I haven't done. Like I have not done any kind of high-end SV miner. Miners are usually my least favorite thing to build, but I don't really have anything like that in my arsenal of different creations. And I've been trying to expand out the Imperial race right now. However, all I got to say is Imperial and non-steel texturing materials suck. They don't work very good. You can use a little bit of Xeno in places like I did on the Supremacy, but concrete, wood, man, you lose all your base textures with them, and most of the tech like textures. So it makes it a nightmare to try to do this race with any material besides steel. or like carbon, you know, that set of textures. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Let me know on your thoughts on what you'd like to see in game. Again, I'd like to make something kind of neat and exciting, but I'm not exactly sure which avenue I should go on right now, and that's kind of where I sit. All right. Well, anyway, y'all have yourself a good day. I'll talk to you later.